Okay, welcome everyone, and pleasure having everybody. As we're sponsored by Baruch Ian, Leila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba Esther Bas Gittel Avram Ben Shmuel HaKohen. We're sponsored by A.B. Spry from Nachas, from children, grandchildren, the ganze Mishpacha, by Shalom Fogel, Leila Nishmas Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas God, Yosef Ben Sion Ben Yaakov Zev, by Ed Salah from London, Joshua Rosenberg, and by Yaakov Yamansky, Akar Satov to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren. We welcome in over here, A.B. Spry. We welcome in the shul. I see Rich Lenner, and I see Michal Avram Chavin and Ruvain Shannon, and I see Mo Kushner, and we welcome in Baruch Ian and Saba, and Dr. Block, and Nachman Chapler, Shalom Fogel, El Zachter, Ben Zion Cohn, Menachem Yamansky, Irving Fishbaum, Yisrael Fisher, Ruvain Pollack, Chaim Kramer, Yitzi Fiuk, Yitzi Muller, Avram Rezepkowitz. It's great to have Eba Arbach back, and we welcome in David Helfgott as we start the new Perek. So we start at the very top of Samach Aleph Amud Aleph. Hamoicheres Abayis. If, let's say, Ruvain sells his house, loy mocher yitzia. He doesn't sell a lower wing that's on the side of the house, even though it opens into the house. But it's a lower wing. It has a lower roof. It's a side, so to speak, sell, and he doesn't sell that. Even though it opens into the house. They used to have sometimes a storage room in the back of the house, within the house. Again, it opened into the house, but it was a separate storage room. He doesn't sell that with it. Nor does he sell the rooftop. If it has a parapet around it of 10 tvachim, the rooftop is considered a property of its own. He doesn't sell that. Rabbi Yehuda says even if it doesn't have a parapet, even if it doesn't have a makeh, if there is a full doorway opening up onto the roof, then even if that doesn't have a parapet around it of 10 tvachim, it's not sold. So the Gemara right away asks, Ma yitzia, what is the nature of this wing? So Hachat Targima, after. Here they explained it, like I said, after. It was a lower wing, a lower extension of the house that comes out of the side of the house, even though it opens up into the house. Reb Yosef says, Bitka Chalila. Reb Yosef says it was a sunroom. In other words, on the side of the house, there was a room with windows, and it was used as a sunroom. If you don't sell the wing of the house, surely you don't sell the sunroom, which is like more independent of a function. The one that says that you don't sell the bitka chalila, the sunroom, but the lower wing on the side of the house, that mizdavna, that you sell together with the house. As we welcome in Gedalia Engel joining us, and I just see Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg joining us. Welcome everybody. And as we are holding in process now by Tani Rav Yosef, about 10 lines from the top. Tani Rav Yosef, Shalosh Shemish Yeshloi. This side wing of the house with a lower roof has 3 names. Yitzia, a wing. Tzela, like a extension, an appendage of the house. And Ta, a cell on the side of the house. Now, where do we see this? The reason why we have so many names for it is because in the Beis Hamikdash complex, on the side of the main room of the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodashim, were these cells. So Yitzia, where do we find that it's called a wing? There were 3 levels of these cells on the side of the Beis Hamikdash, on the right and the left, and in the back. So the Yitzia Tachtaina, the lowest level, was Chamesh Ba'ama Rachba. It was 5 amas wide. Tzela, a side appendage, Dichsiv Atzlois, these side rooms, these side chambers, Tzela el Tzela, there was a chamber next to a chamber, a total of Shloish Ushloishim Pa'amim. There was a total of 33. The way it worked is there was 5 on the north and 5 on the south, with 3 levels, so that's total of 30. And then there was 1 in the back on 3 levels, so that's another 3. So it's a total of 33 of Atzlois, Tzela el Tzela, a chamber next to a chamber, Sholosh v'Shloishim Pa'amim, a total of 33. Ta, where do we find it's called a cell? Dichsiv, Ata, and the cell was Kone Echad Eirich. It had the length of 1 amma. A rod was 1. Well, actually, it had the length of 6 tvachim. The Kone Echad Rachav, and the width of 6 tvachim. A rod was 6 tvachim. Well, bein time, and in between the cells were Chamesh amas. The Iba Yisema Mehacha, another place where it says Ta, Kaisel Ha'echel Sheish, the width of the temple wall was 6, V'ata Sheish, and the Ta was 6, and Kaisel Ata, and the back wall of the cell was Chamesh, so we see that it was called a Ta. Amar Mazutra, where do we say that when Ruvain sells it to me, he keeps the cell to himself? That's only if it's 4 amas. However, if it's not 4 amas, if it's not an area of 4 by 4 amas, it's bottled to the house and he doesn't keep it to himself. According to you, the Amrit ad dahavi arba amas, that only when it's 4 amas does it have its own identity, and it's kept by the seller. Elamiyata gabe bar, where Reuben sells me a house, the Tanan loyas habar v'loyas hadus, he doesn't sell me the pit in the ground nor the standing tanks. Afal pisha kasav loy umka v'ruma, even though he says he's selling it to the very depths and the height. Are you going to say that there it depends if it's 4 amas or not? He only reserves it for himself if it's 4 amas. We never heard such a distinction. Says the Gemara, what's the comparison? Over there, he sold me a house that's for living. He reserved for himself the well and the tanks, which has a completely different purpose, and therefore it doesn't make difference if it's more or less. Here, both the house and the wing has the same use. It's both used for living purposes, and therefore, if it's 4 amas, he reserves it for himself. If not loy chashiv, it's rather considered just like an extension of the house, and he sells it to me. As we welcome in Mark, just getting underway now, 2 lines from the bottom. You see, Mark, if you tarry, you miss an entire amud. 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Samach Aleph, as we are in the 2nd volume of the Artzko. You know it's a big Masechta when it has 3 volumes and 3 fat volumes. This is such a beautiful Masechta, Rabbi say, such an accomplishment. We welcome in Avram Sheps, who's joining us. So now, the Gemara says, and a shout out to Aaron Swade, he's with his family on a vacation, but we know he's listening to us, and Aaron, we miss you here. Have a wonderful time. V'loyas hacheder shelifnim eimen. We said that when Reuven sells me the house, he doesn't sell the storage room that's within the house. That is an entity on its own. So the Gemara says, Hashti yitzia loy mizdaven. If he doesn't sell me the wing of the house, which is of the same usage, cheder mebay, the storage room, which is a different usage, of course he doesn't sell it. So why does the Mishnah have to teach it? So here the Gemara says it's interesting. Even though when Reuven sold me the house, he wrote the length and the width of the house. And the length of the width in the house, when I got it from the surveyor, included the storage room. So therefore, I want to claim he sold me the storage room. But rather, Kid Rav Nachman. We hold like Rav Nachman. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Bavua, Hamoicher bayis l'chaveiroi bebira gedayla. If I sell to Mark an apartment in a big apartment building. Now, the apartment building includes a big lobby and a walking area, and I sell him, and I say, an apartment. But when I give him the measurements, I give him the measurements of the whole apartment building. Even though I give him the measurements of the entire apartment building, I'm not selling him the entire apartment building. The only reason I gave him those measurements is those are the only measurements that I had. And we say mitzarim here kavlai. I just widened him the measurements. So the Gemara says, well, hechidami ilay the karlei l'bayis bayis u'l'bira bira. We call an apartment and an apartment building a bira. So then obviously, pshita, since I said an apartment, bayis zavinlei, bira loy zavinlei. Ella de l'bira nami kar l'bayis. If you call an apartment building also a bias, and I gave him the longitude and the latitude of the entire apartment building, then l'chayr Mark has a good claim that kulei zavinlei, that I sold it all to him. Says Merleit Tzricha the Ruba Karelei l'bayis bias. Most people call an apartment, and l'bira, an apartment building. The economy, there are a few people, the labira korelei bias, that an apartment complex is also called a bias. So I might say, the same that Mark could say, kulei zavinlei, that I sold him the whole thing since I gave him the dimensions of the entire thing. Kamash Malan, since it's very ambiguous, midhavalei lemichtav, I should have included in the fine print. I'm not keeping anything of this sale for myself. I didn't include that all important addendum. I only sold them one apartment. I kept the whole apartment complex for myself. Now the Gemara says a similar case as we welcome in Shelley Zeitlin all the way from Panama. And Shelley, you look great. You look like you're having a nice time. And we wish nice time for all our friends. It's an interesting thing. There are some people that when they are at home and other people go away, they begrudge them that they go away. They're stuck at home and other people get to go away. It's a fulfillment of a hafta l'riacha kamoicha to be happy for others when they get a chance to have something nice. Because just like you're happy when you have something nice, we should be happy for others when they have something nice. We want to welcome in, it's getting to look like something, very late tonight, but getting to look like something now with 29 Zoomers, as we welcome in, what's his name? Something about, Bikey. We welcome in Bikey and or Mikey and Stephen Holtzman, and it's nice to have everybody joining us. It's nice to have you show up. The Gemara gives us another example where a similar case. I sell Mark one field in a huge valley that has many fields. Even though I write in the document the outer dimensions of the entire valley, I just made wider boundaries than it really is, because those are the boundaries that I know. Now the Gemara says, well, one field is called a field, bika, and the entire complex of fields is called a valley. So since I said a field, of course I sold them only one field. I didn't sell them a valley. If the entire complex of fields is called a sada, and I gave him the outer boundaries, then Mark could say, look, you told me a sada, which is also the entire complex, and you gave me the outer boundaries, you must have sold all of it to me. So the Gemara says, normally you call a field and a complex of fields a valley. The economy, there are some delabika karalei sada, that even the entire complex you could refer to as a big field. Mao the same as since I gave him the outer boundaries that kula zarvanle, I sold all of it to him. Kamash Malan, since I should have inserted, if I was selling him everything, I didn't keep anything for myself. And I didn't add that fine print. Shmamina, I only sold him one field, and Shiuri Shire, and I kept the rest for myself. Now, we needed this teaching by the field in a big valley, and also an apartment building in a big apartment in a big apartment building. B'tzricha. Diyash minam bayis. If we said the case of the house, there it's obvious that if I just said a house, I only sold them the apartment. Mishum dehatash mishkel lechud v'hatash mishkel lechud. Apartment has one purpose, and apartment building has a completely other purpose, because it includes a lobby where a lot of people lounge and a walking area. Aval bika, but a valley, the kula chadatash mishti, all the fields have the same purpose. And I gave him the outer boundaries, and some people call the entire valley a field. I might think I sold all of it to him. V'yash being a bika, that I only sold him the specific field. You know why? Because there, it's likely I'll give him the outer boundaries, because the specific boundaries of just one field in the middle were not known. It wasn't available without hiring an expensive surveyor to know the inner measurements. Avabayis, but in one apartment, which it's easy to know, it was 10 by 16. Avabayis, to Havale Lamimsale, I should have given him just the dimensions of the apartment. V'loy meitzale, and I didn't give it to him. I might think kulei zavinle. I sold him the entire complex. Tzricha, because I didn't write that loy shairis bezvile inein kadmai klum. I didn't add that addendum. Kaman also hadar amar Rav Mori bra the Bas Shmuel. According to who does it go like that which Rav Mori, the son of Bas Shmuel, said, Mishmei de Abaya, in the name of Abaya, Haiman de Mazman le'midei lechavrei, somebody who sold something to his friend, and there's an ambiguity in it, whether it's just one piece or the entire area, Tzarech l'michtav le, if he's selling the entire area, has to write, Shairis bezvilei inain kadmai klum. I didn't keep anything for myself. Come on, who is this going? Like Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bavu, like Rav Nachman in the name of Rabba Baravua. Now, Hahu da Amalei. Now you know Ahu, you know who that is. Just it's short for Hahu Gavra. So who the Amalei Lechavre? Now who's going to have the bad luck to be his friend? Mark. So Hahu the Amalei Lechavre. Marshall tells Mark, Ara de Bechia mizavna lalach. I'm selling land of the house of Chia. I'm selling you. Now, there were two lands. Havalei tarte arasa davim iskaran de Bechia. There were two lands that Marshall had that are called the Bechia. Mark, of course, wants both lands. You know Mark, sticky finger Mark. He wants both lands. Marshall wants to only give him one, and of course, cheap Marshall wants to give him only the smaller one. Right? He only wants to give him one. He wants to give him the smaller one. Well, guess what? The law is squarely backing Marshall. Amar Rav Ashi Choda Amalei. He only told him Ara. Mark, listen. He told him one land. Tarte loy. He didn't tell him two. And since Mark can't prove that it's the bigger one, Marshall is the Mosik, so he only gets the smaller one. The Amalei Arasa. Arasa is plural. So then, if let's say there's 5 lands, so then Mark is entitled to 2. Because a plural of lands, the smallest plural is 2. Stama miyat arasa shtay. Now let's say he tells Mark, V'i amalei kol arasa, all the lands of the Bechia. Oh, now Mark is watering at the mouth. All the lands. So the Gemara says, kol arasa de isla, he gets all the land, levar mebustane upardise, except for gardens and vineyards. Because garden and vineyards are not included in land. The Iyamalei Zihara, that was Zihara, by the way, Rabbi say, I don't know if you're looking, but while we're having such a good time over here, we have 32 Zoomers on. And that's really cool. I see Dr. Guy is joining us on vacation, Shragi is joining us, Yisrael Mayor Kaplan just stepped in, and Daniel Rosenberg is here. So very good to see everybody joining us here. By the way, just if you don't know, our start time for this week is getting earlier. Our start time this week is 8:15. 8:15 start time.
Let's do 2 tonight.
Okay, by the way, Rabbi Isai, you heard it. Afterwards, after I finish and do the Mishnah Yomis, Marshall is doing 2 more black. Now,
you're going to love my pshatim.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Right. Just stay on the Mishnayos and then we'll debate.
I don't have that pit that we talked about a couple black back. I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Okay. Marshall will do the Howdy Doody show at about 9:30. Now, says the Gemara, the Amalei Zihara, if Marshall tells Mark, if Marshall tells Mark, I'm selling you all cultivated land, then Mark gets even the Bustanei Pardise. He even gets the gardens and the vineyards. Levar mebate va'avde, but he doesn't get the houses and the servants that are called the houses and servants of Bechia, because Zira is only cultivated land. However, the Amalei Nichsei, I'm selling you all the property. All the property includes everything. Afilu bate va'avde. Even the houses and the servants are sold as well. Okay, Rabbi say we will now go on to learn the Mishnah Yomis. Again, I want to remind you that we are looking for a sponsor for Parshas Re'eh, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. And now we are going to learn the Mishnah Yomis.